Hello, guys. Good day. This is Anne of Reinforce Me Club. Today, we are going to talk about learning from life's disappointments. So, disappointments. Have you heard about the word? Have you experienced it? It happens to us, to everybody. At times, it could be not every day, but when it happens to us, we get angry. Do you know why we get angry? Because our expectations weren't met. Disappointment arises when there is a gap between our expectations and the reality. It is a natural emotional response to unmet desires, goals, hopes, and dreams. Sometimes we even get disappointed about with ourselves when we are doing something, when we're aiming for something to achieve in a week. It could be just merely passing an exam, but we never make it. We never made it, and then that made us disappointed with ourselves. Especially when you put in more effort in order to make a thing work. Now, disappointment could also happen when there is a miscommunication. You know, when you have misunderstanding with your friend, spouse, or parent, or there could be a lack of communication between the parties, between two parties, and that could also lead to disappointments, unmet expectations, because you know when people weren't clear enough to tell the the people, the person they're dealing with, what they want, what are their expectations, then eventually that will lead them to disappointments in time, if they're even expecting anything. Otherwise, if not, no expectations or less expectations, then that would be great. And we also meet expectations when we have personal limitations. Personal, when we fail to look at ourselves as imperfect. We overestimate our abilities and underestimate the challenges. Like, for example, I've mentioned this before. I was taking the English test, wherein I failed 5 times and I finally passed it the sixth time. So I thought it was easy though. I thought it was just like an English subject, but it wasn't. And it was even expensive, time consuming. But it's gonna be worth it when you pass it, because it is the key to anyone who is planning to go abroad. But I didn't make it for 5 times, 5 takes. Well, there could be even some people who did 7 takes, 8 takes, 10 takes. We'll never know. But I've known someone 7 takes. But it didn't matter though. What matters is now. You know why disappointment is hard to deal with? Why? It is because basically you have put in an emotional investment, an emotional energy to our goals and expectations, and making them, meeting failures in time while you're on the process of really reaching it. It means some kind of personal loss, to the point that sometimes you don't trust yourself. You're doubting yourself. You start to doubt yourself, or you start to doubt the other person. That could be your significant others, your spouse, your mom, your friend. If you have expectations that weren't met, when you've already been disappointed by these people. And it also makes you feel inadequate in some point, especially when you are in a romantic relationships, wherein you weren't clear about your expectations. You have kind of expectations which is on the social media. What is the perfect boyfriend? Someone who cooks for you, Someone who wakes up in the morning, 7 in the morning, and then go to the gym. Kind of boyfriend who's going to bring you flowers every week. Those are your expectations, but you didn't clearly communicate it to your boyfriend, and or the boyfriend, he's not that kind of person. So you got to deal with that. And well, in some point, because you overestimate, you overthink that the person could be like that. Could be, but in reality is it's not. And that makes you feel like you have a loss. You feel like you feel anxious about the world. You feel out of control. It disrupts your sense of uncertainty, leading to anxiety about the future. Like, oh, my boyfriend is not bringing me flowers every week. My boyfriend is not working out. My boyfriend doesn't know how to cook. I expect guys to date guys who does know how to cook, but it turns out that I wasn't picking. I compromised my standards in the first place. So you also have to be self-aware about your standards. Otherwise, it wouldn't only be the fault of the other parties. So it could be your fault too. And that leads you to anxiety, to the point that you instead lower your expectations down to reality. And you know what? When you are continuously disappointed by the same person, by your significant other, by your friend, it would even lead you to pessimism, pessimistic outlook, where we start to expect failures, leading to more disappointments and leading to anger, resentment, and you're not going to be happy with that person anymore. And when you're not happy, it's not sustainable. When it's not sustainable, in a matter of time, it's going to end. The relationship is going to end. So I'm not a relationship expert here. I'm talking about disappointments and not communicating your expectations. Now, what does disappointment teach you? Well, basically, it teaches you to be self-aware in the first place. Self-awareness. It helps you understand your strength, your weaknesses, limits, and it helps you foster a more realistic self-image, more realistic standards, more realistic values to expect from other people and from yourself. Otherwise, if you have high expectations, like for example, and there's nothing wrong about that, you set that high expectations to yourself because you wouldn't let yourself down anyway. If you expect people to be punctual, be punctual. Set high standards for yourself. If you want to be kind, be kind. If you want the person, if you want a significant others who knows how to cook, learn how to cook. Set a standard for yourself. High standards for yourself and yourself only. Because if you set the standards, if you expect a lot from other people, from the world, from the government, it is meant to end. Those expectations are meant to break. But if you work hard to gain respect to yourself, that will always going to be possible. That would even make you more relentless. If you ever have high expectations, set it to yourself, not to other people. Because they're not perfect. And we're not perfect too in the first place. But if we set high expectations for ourselves, in that way we can understand forgiveness, that we are not perfect. We become since we are forgiving to ourselves, we learn how to forgive others. Since we accepted ourselves that we're not perfect, then in that time we can accept others that they're not perfect too. That when we let ourselves down, we realize that it could be possible that there are some things wouldn't work. Then you learn it from yourself, then you apply it to others. So as much as possible though, unless when you are in a project, like You are in a kind of transactional relationship. You are aiming for the business. There's not much of personal relationship. Then set the expectations. If the relationship is transactional, and if it's meant for the growth of a business, success of a project, more sales, you can expect that to other people based on their job descriptions or as a teammate in a project. But otherwise, personal relationships, set the expectations to yourself first. You won't let yourself down ever. And you will learn a lot of things from yourself, and then you can apply it to others. That would be great. That will lead to world peace. And another thing, that the disappointment can teach us is patience and persistence. Dealing with disappointments teaches us the importance of patience and persistence in a way that, when things don't work out the way we're expecting it, then we can tweak it a little bit. We can make ourselves flexible to make things work and still go towards our goals. We can tweak, we can change the strategy and be persistent. And it doesn't mean that you have a goal, then you're going to hit it anyway, right away 100%. But along the way, it's important to expect also that we're going to meet challenges, problems, adversities, things wouldn't work, and even failures. So be persistent. The more you fail, the more you really like to get it done. And another good thing about, learning from disappointments. Disappointments help you become adaptable. Adaptability. Disappointments encourage you to become flexible and adaptable. Those desperate moments shows us to really adjust our plans in response to changing circumstances. To the point that, until we find the right answer, the right strategy, the right innovation to make it work towards our goal. Still doing it. Persistence. And you know what? When we finally become realistic about our self-image, we become patient, we become persistent and adaptable towards the changes, and still looking at the prize, not taking out our eyes on the prize to our goals. Overall, we also learn to be empathetic towards ourselves first. That in some point we could let ourselves down because we're not perfect. We could fail and we could be sad, but we still get up again and find another way. And when we become empathetic with ourselves, we also become empathetic to others, that we understand them. We understand that they could fail us. Other people could also disappoint us. Even our significant others, even our parents, our mom, our dad. Even the best people that we know, even our parents, whom we consider as superheroes when we were young. These people are also not perfect. They could also give us disappointments, or even biggest disappointments that we'd never expect from other people. So if we learn to forgive ourselves as imperfect, we would also learn how to handle the people whom we trust, we love most. We become forgiving. And it's not an easy process though. Never. Because, when you trust people and at the end it didn't work, it failed, along the way, the process isn't easy because it's going to make you feel sad. Sometimes you become a negative person, and then to the point that you're going to learn the lesson. Well, I also got disappointed too. Loads of disappointments when I was younger. To the point that I don't expect anything at all anymore from the people I consider as my heroes. I got zero expectations or less expectations. And you know what happened? Even to my parents, I got disappointed to my parents. But you know what happened? When I lower my expectations, I got 0% interest on my expectations. I also learned how to love them more. You got to choose between being right. You want to be right. You want everything to be right. You want righteousness in your way. It could be your way. And this is like, for example, this is your father or this is your mother. Would you rather be right, be perfect, or would you rather be with your mom or your dad happily? Would you choose being right, or would you choose your mom? Out from your righteousness, out from your perfect ways. Would you rather be right, or would you rather have a mom or a dad or a husband and forget about being right? In some point, we're going to have those moments wherein we really have to pick for our peace of mind. Now, how are you going to deal with those disappointments? I got you 8 strategies, 8 ways how to deal with disappointments in healthy manner. The first one is acknowledge your feelings. Allow yourself to feel and express your disappointments. Suppressed emotions can lead you to more significant stress and anxiety. So if you just move on and don't acknowledge that feelings of anger and loss of trust, feeling of not enough, there is no period of time that wherein you have to recover in 3 days. Sometimes it takes time, even lifetime. You got to deal with that, and loads of disappointments will come along the way. Not only in the present situation, it could be in the future or maybe 5 minutes from now. Loads of it waiting for you there to learn the lessons. So acknowledge the feelings first. The second thing that you can do to really deal with disappointment is reflect and learn. What have you learned? It could be you have high expectations, unrealistic expectations. It could be yourself, you hurt yourself in a way that you expect too much from a person. But you could do something about it instead. It could be you that you fail to communicate your expectations to the other party, to the person. So it could be you. You know why I'd rather to point out ourselves, yourself, is that when we make a reflection, a self-reflection out from what's really happening, it's way better to really own the situation. Take the responsibility of the situation, own it. In that way, you can control it. You can change it. You can change your way. And there's nothing you can do about other person. You can nag at that person. You can nag at him. You hate him. You just keep the relationship in silent mode. You put a big wall behind both of you, in front of both of you. You're not talking all day. But there's nothing you can do about that person. But when you own the situation, when you own the circumstances about what's happening, why you got hurt, you can do something about it. You are in control now. You can change it. You can lower your expectations, no expectations at all, and still pick that person than being right. The third thing is that you can adjust your expectations. Lower it down. Put it in a 0% interest rate. No expectation. No expectations at all. Reevaluate your goals and expectations. Are they realistic and attainable? Adjust them as necessary. Or once again, once you reflect and learn, own the situation, own this negative things that's happening in front of you. In that way, you don't really need to ask about, whether your goal is realistic. Just change your way, still hitting the goal. Innovate, gather more ideas to really, learn to be persistent and still hit the goal until you get the right method. Number 4, develop a growth mindset. View setbacks as growth of opportunities rather than failures. Embrace the learning process. You wouldn't learn anything from success, from good things. Leave them alone. But when you failed, when you got disappointed, gosh, there's a lot of things you can learn from that. For me, it's easier said than done. But when I got through that moment, sometimes I get angry, I'm out of control. But then when I got a space like when I'm with myself for at least like 5 to 10 minutes, I mean, what's happening? Just let me be aware about what's really happening. And once again, I got to learn the lesson. So in that way, I can personally learn a lot from negative things like failures, disappointments, rather than success or good things, good reviews. You can't get anything from it. It will, of course, it will boost your company, but your company wouldn't grow without negative reviews, because those negative reviews is the key to your improvement, to perfections. I'm talking about perfection 99%, because 1% is still, is still the room for improvement. That is, those negative reviews, feedbacks is your key to success. Number 5, seek support. Talk to your friends, family, or a therapist. Sharing your feelings can provide relief and new perspectives. Like for example, you and your mom couldn't get along. You can talk your feeling out to your brother or sister or to your best friend. You can share your feelings to your dad, to anyone who wants the best for you, to anyone you can trust. And from these people you can gain perspectives other than your perspectives. And might as well, one of those perspectives can help you a lot, can help you love your mom more. Number 6 is practice self-compassion. Be kind to yourself. Recognize that disappointment is a part of life and not a reflection of your own worth. So once again, as I've said earlier, disappointment is the key to success. It means that you have to improve, revise, or make adjustments, or change your way. Change the strategy, or just change your way. Be in charge, be accountable with yourself. Number 7, stay positive. Focus on the positive aspects of your situation and what you have achieved. Gratitude can help you shift your mindset. Although you get disappointed with your, just let's take the previous example that you and your mom cannot get along. But your mom still cooks for you. Your mom still treats your boyfriend or your husband well. Your mom still respects your husband or your boyfriend. Your mom is looking after your kids. The other side of things, which you can appreciate about the person. Although you and your mom cannot get along, but your mom is going to the gym. Your mom is looking after herself, so she won't get sick, and she won't give you any headache. Although your mom is, you and your mom cannot get along, you get easily irritated with each other, but your mom loves your dad. Your mom raised you. You finished your college, you finished your degree because of your mom. You're grown up. You've reached 25 years of age because of your mom. So other things to be grateful for. Number 8 is take action. Create a plan to move forward. Set a new goals and take small steps towards achieving them. Action can help restore a sense of control and purpose. So take action. In other words, never give up. Never give up with your boyfriend who didn't meet your expectations. But otherwise, if things would work, then it would work. But never give up on the person. Never give up on your goal. Never give up on yourself. Basically, because it's just you and yourself together forever for the rest of your lives. Other than your significant others, you'll be dealing with yourself all the time. Every minute, every hour, every second, you are with yourself. Love yourself. Make yourself your best friend. Take care of yourself. Then that's the start of a good relationship outside, externally. So by understanding the roots and the impacts of disappointments, we can better equip ourselves to handle it in healthy and in a constructive manner. Embracing disappointment as part of life and learning from it can lead to personal growth and greater resilience. disappointments can make us tougher, better, and unstoppable. So if you ever love this episode today, you can share it to your family and friends. You can follow me on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcast, Amazon Podcast. This is Reinforce Me Club. And by the way, I do appreciate your time and have a lovely Sunday. Thank you very much once again.